we have had a number of employers who cut wages, stopped paying employees salaries, which was contrary to not only our local laws, but also international rights of workers. And out of, to summarize, out of 12 of such cases that we had to deal with, a number of them went to courts, and so far to date, we have been able to win 10 of those cases, company-wise, individual-wise. So that has been, I would say, remarkable in defending workers, and I think because of that, the tranquility that we experience among the workforce on St. Martin, I would say is a contribution because of the victory in court, because the aggravation and the emotional attitude of workers because not being able to earn or get a salary, to take care of themselves and their family. Hurricane was no fault of them, but thank God, because justice prevailed, and those companies that did refuse to pay or stop paying, they had to pay retroactive payment plus penalties that the court imposed on them. So that was I would say, remarkable accomplishment in defending workers' rights, the cause of workers. One of the things that really amazed me, and I want to make this very clear, that when people go to seek employment, they are referred to as the weaker vessel, the weaker one. And so employers, along with their attorneys, they impose individual contracts on these job seekers, and without seeking any advice. And every worker has a right, if they are given a contract, they have a right to seek advice. But these employers, they refuse to allow the employees to seek advice. And they threaten them that if they don't sign now, they don't have a job. So most employees sign individual contracts, and in those contracts has contradictory articles or sentences which will violate their rights, and they don't even understand that. So those were some of the challenges that we had to face. When I read a number of individual contracts that employees signed, and look at the ILO conventions on the rights of workers, and even compare our own labor laws, I saw that they were contrary, conflicting. But again, the employees sign off. And thank God, because even though the employees sign off on those articles or those contracts which violates their own right without their own knowledge, the judges overrule those contracts. Let me give you an example. We have seen a number of companies where in their contract they have where they will continue to pay salaries, for 1, 2, 3 months maximum after, any calamity and so on. They call it calamity clause. And that particular reference or article is contrary to workers' rights and the rights to a worker income or wages or salary, whichever one you want to refer it to. So even though they signed that, it's contrary to the law, to their rights. And most of these lawyers told their clients, the employers, that no work, no pay. Okay? Now, there's a part in the law which refers to no work, no pay. But they didn't explain to their clients or the employers the details of that law. Okay? Because if it's no fault of the employee why they didn't work, then the employer is obligated to maintain or pay wages. If the employee doesn't show up to work when it is his own fault, then that apply, no work, no pay. But in the case of a hurricane, it's not the employee's fault. And in many cases, the employees, even though they went back on the job and helped clean up, ignoring their own reality, after they finish cleaning up, some of these companies just apply that clause in their contract. And that's where the aggravation, the emotional, damages begin to occur and so on. And those persons who had no representation, they suffer psychologically, and, a lot of them emotionally up to this moment who didn't seek proper advice. You see them, they are very disturbed. But we were able to challenge those in court and, won those cases. So, so those are some of the accomplishment or achievement that WIFL has been able to do on behalf of workers. Of course, we had the collaboration and the cooperation of the Ministry of Labor and the Ministry of Justice, in granting most of these employees legal assistance. So, but it's important to make it known that before an employee sign an individual contract, they can either go to the labor office to make sure that that contract is not in conflict with the labor laws, or they can come to WIFL and we will explain to them exactly what their rights are. Because many employees who wasn't even part of WIFL, especially in Front Street, stores in Front Street, they came to us and we advised them what to do, and they eventually won their cases, and companies had to pay them retroactive when they stopped paying them.
Connecting you.
For this holiday season, visit Lucky Group of Companies for all your beauty supplies. In Lucky 2, the most modern store you can find, Melanie Color with Impact Hair Dyes, L'Oreal Paris, Black Opal, Revlon, Maybelline, and NYX Professional Makeup, St. Ives, Oil of Olay, and Neutrogena Body Lotion, Coppertone Sunscreen, brand name perfumes, Disney Cosmetics for kids and travel sizes, a wide selection of synthetic and human hair from the Janet Collection, hair extensions and ladies' wigs in all styles, shape, and colors, perfume gift baskets, a large variety of electronics such as Apple, HP, Nikon, Pioneer, and Olympus, watches from Casio, Seiko, and Citizen, and the latest musical headphones from Beats. Lucky 1, Lucky 2, and Shoppers Plaza is wishing you the very best for the holiday season and a happy new year.
Mr. DeWeaver, parts of the boardwalk following the passing of the hurricanes remains in darkness. From a justice point of view, anything is being done to ensure that the lights are reinstated on the boardwalk?
Thank you. The Council of Ministers had a meeting with GBE before the holidays, and it was heavily emphasized that all lights, including those on the boardwalk as well as those in the Mullet Bay area, that they should all be restored. It was indicated that there was an electrical problem that they were working on and that they would be restored. So in light of that, of course, as Justice, we've always focused on prevention, and having more lights is a way of preventing certain crimes from happening. But higher patrols in that area, as was displayed for the New Year's Eve, is a good example. You know, not only on the boardwalk but throughout the island, where we had heavy police presence to make sure that everyone stayed safe. I think that is very important for our island if we're going to promote it as and continue to promote it as a tourism destination. That safety and security must be paramount. If not, we cannot have the prosperity that we enjoy or would like to enjoy or continue to enjoy in St. Martin.
Thank you, Minister DeWeaver. Lyndon Brown.
To the Minister of Justice. Minister, there's a collaboration the Justice Office, the Inspector Office, and your office. You read that information, false information went out in the media. Has there been any discussion with these different departments of closing these businesses early?
Inspector Henson is the police spokesperson, and I know that he had a conversation with Mr. Dick, and that it was clearly communicated that there were incidents, and they'd asked the gas stations in particular to cooperate with them and not serve any more alcohol, and also the loud music from cars at these places. The gas stations cooperated, and it went very smooth. Again, we have to focus on prevention because we would not want to have a death or due to drunk driving, someone gets knocked down. So by them being proactive and avoiding some of these situations, I think were all responsible steps to take.
So, but on that topic, who ordered the close down? The chief inspector? Because you said you want the newspaper to refrain from that statement.
I didn't make the order. I didn't issue any order to anyone to close down anything or any business for that matter, and I want to make that very clear. I'm not sure where they got that from, and that's why I asked the questions. Who is the source, or what, or who are the sources that provided that information? Because it did not come from the police, as far as I know, as far as saying that I said to close down businesses. That was never the case and never the situation.
So
Thank you, Minister DeWeaver. We now move on to the final round of questions. Stephen Cerulean, you have the floor.
Minister Smith, in your opening statement, you made mention of repairs being done to schools. You spoke of the library and the collaboration within to ensure that things are back to normal. What you failed to talk about, though, was the finances for the University of St. Martin. In a previous statement, you said that the Council of Ministers was supposed to meet to discuss the finances for USM. We know the financial challenges of the University of St. Martin at this time. What is being done now from your perspective to ensure that the financial challenges of USM is corrected in one way or the other?
Thank you for the question. The matter of the financial situation at the USM has been discussed with USM, has been discussed in the Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers decided that an incidental subsidy would be granted based on certain conditions. That was signed off before the holidays, and there is an MOU to be signed with the university shortly, in which the way forward as to ensure that the finances of the university will be once and for all dealt with. So at this moment, the matter concerning the finances at the USM, they're really under control because we've had those discussions with the USM. And as I said, the MOU will determine the way forward, the conditions under which we'll be able to resolve the financial situation at the USM.
Approximately, if I may, how much will be made available to the university as a jumpstart?
approximately additional amount of 90,000 guilders.
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Viv now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact WIB today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Windward Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
Who you're for.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
1,
2,
3,
4. This is how common it is to develop a mental illness. 1 out of every 4.
4,
4.
4. But there is hope. Today, most mental illnesses can be managed and treated. Visit your general doctor if you feel concerned about your thoughts and behaviors or have some difficulty dealing with some of life's issues.
If you have been diagnosed and are suffering from a mental illness, keep in mind these 4 points to help you manage your mental health.
1. Get regular checkups with your general doctor.
2. Stay on your treatment plan to prevent relapses.
3. Find a strong support group in your family and friends.
And 4. Never be afraid to ask for help and look out for the warning signs of your illness.
Remember, you are not alone. We are as close as one.
2.
3.
4.
Learn about mental health illness by going to the Mental Health Foundation's website at www.mhf-sxm.com.
What if RPS can invest more outside of St. Martin and its cover ratio increases? Will this be a reason to slow down the increase of the retirement age? The answer, it can have a positive effect in the sense that the fund is in a better financial status and thus for a longer period sustainable. The reality is that investments can fluctuate, and a pension fund cannot only rely on investments for sustainability. Because of the fact that the pension reform is based on also other elements of a formula such as premiums, longevity, cost, affordability, and the pension scheme, this scenario will have a short-term impact. Question, what actions has RPS outside the retirement age to avoid the increase of pension age? See answer 7D. Answer 7D states it can have a positive effect in the sense that the fund is in a better financial status and thus for a longer period sustainable. The reality is that investments can fluctuate and a pension fund cannot only rely on investments of sustainability. Because of the fact that the pension form is based on other elements of a formula such as premiums, longevity, cost, affordability, and the pension scheme, this scenario will have a short-term impact. As mentioned, all the elements are part of a formula which makes the new pension scheme affordable and sustainable. This also considering the fact that the population is living longer. The last question, civil servants who are entitled to an increment, will their pension be calculated retroactively? Answer, if retroactive changes are made to the income of public servants, this can affect the calculation of the pension. However, this is not always the case. For instance, in the present system, the ain't loan is calculated as the average pay of the last 2 years prior to the year of retirement. Questions from MP Duran. What is the concrete plan of government concerning its current debt to RPS? MP Irian answer, MP Irian asks for the same clarity the answer was given to his question in 7A. And I will repeat, 7A states, government is discussing the settlement with RPS and aims in coming to a new payment arrangement before the end of this year. Question, what are the possible future changes regarding orphans' pension? Answer, changes could be made on the duration and calculation of the height of the payments. Government and HOA will have to agree on such changes. Question, what are the possible future changes regarding the disability pension? Answer, same as the previous, which is changes could be made to the duration and calculation of the height of the payments. Government and HOA will have to agree on such changes. Question, what is the opinion of each member of the union on the new pension legislation? Do they see it as a benefit for civil servants? The answer, there are several benefits that are to be found in the new pension ordinance. For example, civil servants that build up their pension years 30 years but do not reach the pension age has the opportunity to build up more pension. All active persons in the pension fund automatically receives a 10% increase on the pension which has been built up. There isn't any minimum age limit anymore. For example, a person can begin to build up their pension upon entering service. A civil servant who remains in government service until the age of 65 has the possibility to receive a pension equal of 100% of pay in average system. A civil servant who is in the old pension system and has built up the maximum pension in the old pension will continue to build a pension in the new system. The difference in the ROV in the previous system and a new pension system will be paid to the civil servant as a lump sum one-time payment upon reaching the age of 65. The orphan pension, the age limit was raised to 27, up from 18, providing the person is a full-time student. The last question, some civil servants are still waiting for their correct scalating. How does it fit into the new pension legislation? Is there a deadline to correct this before the implementation of the new pension legislation? Response, the answer is refers to question 7F, and question 7F states if retroactive changes are made to the income of public servants, this can affect the calculation of the pension. However, this is not always the case. For instance, in the present system, the ain't loan is calculated as the average pay of the last 2 years prior to the year of retirement. Questions from MP Westcott. Can government provide an update on the discussions concerning the general pension scheme? The answer, the AOV retirement age will also go from 62 to 65 years with no possibility to retire earlier than 65 years. Legislation is expected to go into effect on January 1st, 2020. Question: the new pension legislation affects other laws. Some were not even adjusted with the pension age increase to specifically 60. How will government make sure that the amendments that refer to pension age 60 and 62 are still made, and does it foresee problems? Answer: government is not aware of such an oversight. Question: several persons who are reaching or already reached their pensionable age have requested the government to stay on via a contract. Can government provide an overview of the numbers and in age brackets of the civil servants who had made their requests, and how many civil servants are already working in this situation? The answer: after the increase of the pension age to 62, government has adopted a policy of not extending employment after 62. This was communicated by letter to the staff of January 24, 2017. However, government has asked some public servants to stay on if no replacement was found for a critical function. Presently, 17 people are employed at an age over 62. This includes 7 teachers and 3 people working as in a minister's cabinet. How many people have requested themselves to stay on after 62 is not readily available. They get a standard letter informing them about government's policy. And the last question: can government provide an update to the discussions regarding the functional review of the government apparatus? Are there any preliminary results available of this functional review? Answer: whether or not to go ahead with this functional review is now under consideration. Madam Chair, these were the answers given to the members of Parliament, and I wait for further deliberations.